the one thing that I'd like to say is like, you don't need to achieve or reach any. Yo, what's going on, bro? What's going on?
Yo, what's good, bro? How are you?
I'm good. How are you? It's good. It's good to tap in. I haven't talked to you in a little minute.
Not for real. And I was gonna say before anything, bro, this is a great idea. Like this is a really good idea. Like I fuck
Thank
with
you,
it a
man.
lot.
Thank you. Yeah, I was getting tired of. So what was happening was we were getting like these podcast episodes recorded,
Mm-hmm.
but it's hard. It was hard in post product, and so instead of dealing with putting out like trying to figure out how to put out the long, I was like, man, like this live platform will force us to put out the long. So like from there we can just kind of chop from there. So it kind of helps out with the. Oh man, they're not letting Jim in right now. Hold up, let me try to see what I can do. But yeah, what you been up to this? Yo,
Yo,
That
what's
was good,
good?
bro.
what's going on, Jim? What's
What's
going
up,
on?
man? How you
So
doing?
thank y'all so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate y'all. And dude, I just wanted to say, like, I love what y'all got going on. I want to learn a lot more about what y'all been doing. So kind of what is your podcast and like how'd y'all even come up with the idea to start all that?
Yeah, I can answer that. So we got the Time Millionaire Podcast. So I'd say the podcast is more so like actually we started during quarantine, right? So it's like I feel like a passion project in a way. Because I know for me, like I've always been really curious about like different business ideas and like what people are just doing. Like it's always been an interest of mine, and I love to talk. So I think with that, to me it kind of made sense. And Jim's also like he's very like goal oriented and like loves money and stuff. So we kind of like we were like let's just try it out. And at first I feel like it was a platform for us to talk about stocks. I'm not gonna lie, like that's kind of how we wanted it to start. But then we realized like there's so many creative people, especially like at our school, that like are doing their own thing, and like we want to kind of like highlight that. So like showing off their different like businesses, and us learning in the process. Like that was my view on it. Jim wants to give his 2 cents.
Yeah, it's basically what you said was correct. I was gonna add that we basically wanted to at the beginning also have a voice because we would have like very interesting conversations off camera, and I would like to say that the both of us are pretty knowledgeable people. So I just felt like there was a need for us to like talk about whatever we would talk about in the dark and then put it out in the light. And then they eventually grew into something bigger where now we're essentially forecasting other people on and we're basically putting their voice, making them have a voice as well.
Absolutely. And I love how you talked about like learning from other people, even like this show, like I just want to kind of learn from y'all. And I feel like a podcast is an amazing place not to only learn from other people but also to learn more about yourself and like how you think and how you process different things. Tell me this, what's the hardest part about like podcast talking or like podcast interviewing versus like normal conversations? What have y'all noticed in that?
Okay. So for me, like, I feel like I say like I'm pretty like carefree with like the words I say and like the way I talk. So like I think one thing big is just like your image, like especially online. So like having one going like career force and stuff, like you have to make sure like you're portraying yourself the right way. I think that's like really hard because there's certain things like when you're with your friends, like you're just gonna talk how you talk. But, like for me, like even cussing, I cuss a lot, so. It's like that type of stuff. But I think even more so is just like making sure that every moment kind of matters. Because when you're doing a podcast, you want to keep the person's attention and also like make sure they're getting something out of it as a viewer. So I think when you're just talking, there's gonna be times where you're like really silent. There's not much to say. Like during a podcast and like when you're being recorded, you kind of want to make sure like you have that plan and know what you're gonna talk about and kind of stick to it and not waste much time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was gonna add on to the our very first season was the toughest one because number one we didn't have we didn't have a good setup. Number two, we're just getting used to just talking into a mic by yourself with a camera looking at you is one of the most awkward things you can do. So that was very hard to do in the beginning, but eventually you start getting the flow of it. Every time we take a break though, that first episode is always kind of like sketchy, and then we have to get back into it. So it's fun. That's the fun part of it because it makes you uncomfortable. But being comfortable is nice because then that's how you grow from being uncomfortable.
Absolutely, absolutely. The one
Mm.
thing I learned most ever since talking with pods is like how it is different than a normal conversation in terms of like it's more me going on for an extended period of time in a way, and then
Mm-hmm.
you going on. And it's like there's it just
Mm.
seems like the flow is very different. How like scripted are you guys' is episodes? Like, do you know what questions you want to ask before? Like, how do you kind of go about that? Because for me, you know, I'm battling with wanting to do a little more structure. I feel
Mm.
like I was a little too less scripted before, and I could get off on different tangents. So like, how do y'all kind of approach an episode when you have the guest?
So I know for us, like we normally have like a Google sheet, right? And we like kind of have like an outline of questions, maybe like 5, 6 questions that we kind of want to ask, or like that we just like genuinely want to know about. And so like I guess that's like kind of scripted because we have an idea of what we want to go on. But I also like the beginning of our podcast at least is like normally like we're trying to just have a little fun and crack jokes and stuff really. So that part like we try to be a little more spontaneous, I guess. But I think with a podcast you definitely should have like a vision and goal, but I kind of like being spontaneous in a way because like it keeps it fun. Because like you never want to really sound robotic, and I think like
Yeah.
that's like a big problem because once you sound robotic, like you're gonna lose like the attention of your viewer. Like when
Mm-hmm.
it's fun and like things are kind of moving and everything's kind of in motion. Like that's when you kind of like really hit like those topics that like you never really thought you would, and you learn the most. I feel like.
And that's when the conversations are usually the most genuine because you talk about something and then you go off on a tangent, but the tangent still has to do with the original topic. So you kind of go off a tangent, but in the best way possible, and it makes the conversation a lot more genuine rather than it being a interview. We want it to be a conversation because when you just
Yeah.
ask questions after questions after questions, it becomes an interview. It's not a conversation.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me this: a lot of
Mm.
people ask, like, a lot of people want to, start podcasts. A lot of people want to put out their voice. Can you kind of take us into the behind the scenes of like how do y'all make your podcast from like recording to post production? Can you kind of take us through the different process from creative to production to distro?
Yeah, for sure. So normally the way I think first like we want to find people we like think are really interesting, and like even like for our view like the people we interview or like have conversations with, we always want to make sure like they have something to offer that's a little different. And we try to have like a good mix of guests. So I think one like if you're gonna do like an interview style, like make sure you have interesting people who you generally want to know about, because people can tell if you like really don't like care for them to be there, you know. So I think that's one. Then first, like get your like software. So we record using Anchor. I don't know what you record
Okay.
yours on, but we use Anchor. Um, get we started off with voice memos, and that was like using our voice on our phone. And bro, like it, get a mic. Like I would say, get a mic because that joint the echo is crazy. Like there was just a lot going on. So try to get a mic. We got mics for like $50, right? I think off Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. So it's not too bad. You might have to budget a little bit, but it's all good. Um, and then yeah, it takes us like probably 2.5 hours to shoot, but that's just because like our setup, like we have to move things around sometimes. So it's been pretty fun though. Like we get our guests in, we kind of chill with them for like 15, 20 minutes. You want to get the vibe right, play some music, crank a little bit. Um, and then yeah, we just kind of do our one-on-ones where we like kind of play like more game like and joke around, just like again like get the vibe right. And then we normally have our like actual podcast where we speak. That's about 30 minutes. We kind of talk about their businesses or whatever like we find interesting about them. So that's kind of it. Editing, we try recording like Saturdays. Probably edit like up to like Wednesday, then just kind of like finalizing things to post on Saturday. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of our process.
At least that's the production part of it, and then there's a whole other process where it goes with marketing. And with the marketing,
Mm-hmm.
we have Reels, Instagram Reels, we have TikTok, and we essentially get clips from every single. We try to get clips where we portray or we at least put out parts of the conversation which we think were the most important throughout the whole podcast, and then we put that on Reels, and hopefully that attracts somebody who hasn't seen us. Because no matter how good our quality may be, our quality is actually very good, by the way, if you check us out. No matter how good our quality may be, it doesn't mean anything if our marketing is not at that level. So if we can't market
Absolutely.
ourselves, then it's meaningless. So marketing is very important. So that's why we do Reels and TikTok for the most part.
Yeah.
No, that's the most important part. So the way I normally explain it to people, I always say like with long pods like this, there's like treat it like basketball, right? There's 3-pointers, there's mid-range shots, and there's layups and dunks, right? So like the 3-pointers, that long, 50-minute podcast episode, right? And you could take that 50 minutes, you can get some mid-range cuts, so like 7 to 10-minute cuts from there, and then the most important thing out of all of them are those reels, those Instagram reels, those TikToks, those dunks, where people can basically consume your whole entire episode without even tapping into the YouTube, and like that's how you kind of bring them to the other spot.
Right.
Just a so how do you like using Anchor? We use Riverside FM to do most of our studio, but like how do you like Anchor? What does Anchor do?
Anchor's cool. So like Anchor's kind of like I guess like cloud based in a way. So it kind of saves all your audio recordings and everything like kind of on its own like server. It's super easy to use. Like if you want to put ads in, like you can create your own ads through Anchor. Like and they upload everything to like Apple, Google Play, Spotify, like everything. So it's like it's pretty easy. All you really do, like you make your account, you just hit record, and you just kind of start getting to work. I don't know how it is. You said Riverside, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty similar.
Pretty similar.
All right, that's what's up. Well, my last question is, so season 3, Time Millionaire, like what's going on? What do you guys have in store? What do you guys want to do? Like what's next?
Yeah, that's funny you ask. So we've been planning our first episode like for the last couple hours actually, or we've been talking through it. So we're about to drop when school picks back up. So we're about to start recording. We're gonna get you on the podcast too for sure. So look out for that. We're probably gonna drop in like August, I guess. We're probably gonna record all through July, and then yeah, it's gonna be a lot of very interesting people. From models, got you, bro. You made like first. I want to say you're very tough, bro. You have an app like that. This is very tough.
Thank you,
But
man. Appreciate
you like, and also like the crypto investing space. I think is gonna be super important because like I feel like a lot of people our age like are trying to get into that now, like learning how to manage their money and things like that. So I feel like there's gonna be a lot of like really helpful content, but then like also a lot of people who are really creative and have like they view the world very like interesting, very very unique like worldview. So I think it'll be a good time.
Yeah, our goal is just always to be better compared to the last season, and I think we've done it. We've done that for the past 2 seasons. For season 3, I only expect better quality and just better content.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, man. Well, I appreciate y'all for coming on, spitting the game. I'm excited to get in the studio with y'all. We'll set up a time to do that. So I'm just super excited, man, to just keep pushing. I love the platform that you're building, so just keep working, bro. Appreciate y'all for real.
Thank you.
That.
Have a good one.
Thank y'all so much. Have a good
All
one.
right, bro.
Alrighty.